On today's episode, we're going to cover how to go from concept to execution. We're going to talk about logos design, but this technique is actually relevant for all creative ideas, so stay tuned. Hi everybody, what's up and welcome to another segment of Designer Mind. I'm going to share some of my processes that I work with when I'm coming up with creative ideas. Specifically, we're going to look into logo design, but I think you're going to be able to use this technique for whatever idea that you're working on. So let's talk about concept versus execution. I think a lot of times people mix this up. So I'm going to talk about what is the difference between them and how to work through this. So first thing is, what is concept, right? So a lot of people, I think, feel like when they're coming up with a creative idea, they need to come up with something new, something original. And I feel like this is a very stressful thought to try to come up with something specifically in a time where, almost all ideas have been explored. So the pressure to try to come up with something original can be very strong, and it can actually limit you and block you from trying out creative ideas. But if you think about this, honestly, like creativity and new ideas and originality, most of it is basically taking two ideas that are already in the world and combining them together with some kind of a new way to combine them, right? So everything is a mashup, everything is a mix-up, and it's true for art, it's true for music, and it's obviously true for design. So that's the first thing that you need to understand, and it's a perspective to look at things. So you don't have to reinvent something from scratch. You need to look at what exists in the world, and it's in design specifically, it's very important because you're working with what people have in their mind already. People are not seeing your work out of context. They already know things. They already have seen design, shapes, ideas, colors before. So you need to work with what they have in their mind to combine two things that already exist, and the combination will be something new. So let me go through some design for logos. I've took all of them from Logo Point just for an example. And this is a particular type of logo where the illustration or the icon itself is a combination of two ideas. Not every logo is like this, but I think this is helpful to understand how people come up with new ideas. So in each one of these logos, somebody took the concept of a lion, which a lot of people use to demonstrate being strong, being the king, and being wild. Because remember, we use metaphors. So a lion, when people hear lion or sea lion, because of the cultural references, and we already have some associations with these, with the concept of lion, so we can use the icon of a lion to represent this. So a lot of people might use a lion and then they mix it up with something else. So in the first example, they mix it up with something African. In the second example, they mix it up with something technical. And in the third example, they mix it up with something, with a shield, something that again represent safety or protection or something like this. So here you can see that it's rather simple to come up with something new. Basically, you take two ideas. Each of them is not something, you have seen the cog multiple times in the past. You have seen shield or lions multiple times in the past, but maybe in this specific combination, you haven't seen them. And so something new has been created. So that is the first step of the process, coming up with the concept. This is what I call the concept. Now let's talk about execution, because the way you actually manifest your concept in the design itself is also part of the idea. So previously we saw the concept of a lion and a shield. Now, in that self, that concept might not be super original. I mean, a lot of people, and I just show here 4 examples that I found on Logopon, but you can see around the world, there are probably hundreds of people who came up already with the idea of let's combine a lion and shield. But that's not the point. It shouldn't discourage you that you saw that somebody already came up with the concept that you have, because the way that you execute the concept, the way that you manifest it with color, with lines, with shape, that can be very unique. It can be very, it's still memorable, and it can still serve as a very good idea. So here we have multiple people that executed it, and each one of them is different. Each one of them is memorable. I can say, for example, that the second one, the Lyon Classic, the one with the black background, to me it represents too much. It's a little bit too similar to the logo of Peugeot, the car manufacturer. So that's basically what I see here. So that's one thing that you do need to keep in mind. As I said before, people already have context. They already have a lot of visuals that they know and are familiar with. So it doesn't mean that you can't use a lion, but you have to be careful not to execute it in a way that is too similar to something that a lot of people might be familiar with, because in that case, your execution might end up being confusing. Specifically in logo, it's something that should be very different and unique to remember. So you need to take that in mind. Now, here's basically how my process works. I usually get started by listing out the relevant keywords to the project that I'm working on. So this is something may be technical, but it might also be associational, right? So if I'm doing a project, let's say for cars, because we were just talking about cars, I might list out words like car, wheel, steering wheel, whatever, roof, all these type of technical words that are associated with a car. But I might also write something like the brand values, which might be safety or young or exploration or something like that. So I list all these words, both associational and practical, and then I start to look for visual representations of them. So I might do some kind of visual inspiration mood board, and that is, I will try to look at, first of all, what exists in the world in terms of other logos, other companies, but also, if African was one of my keywords, like we've seen in previous example, I might explore how African art looks like and what images in the African culture are visually appealing, because I might want to use them later on as a color, as a brush stroke, or some kind of a way to manifest them. So I usually collect these type of visual mood boards to help me come up, and from them I can try to take and mix and match some ideas. So again, it might be ideas of few icons, turn them together into one icon, but it can also take colors from this idea and the line and brush from this idea and combine them together into something new. So this is kind of like the mix it up phase of the process. Sometimes you get it, you have an idea, and a lot of times it's just playing around with it until something comes up. So this is not really a math. There's a little bit of magic to it. So you just need to follow the process and go through this, and hope that if you have enough good ingredients that you've collected during your words and visual collection, something will come up from mixing up all those ingredients. And the last part of the process is, once you've figured out, this is an interesting concept that I want to go with, for example, a lion and a shield, don't just settle on the first execution that you did to it. Try to explore multiple executions. Hey, what if we do this outline? What if we do this with a glyph? What if we do this with this color? What if we do this bigger or smaller or thicker or thinner? Try to explore a lot of them, and then find out which one stands out or which one is the best for that particular execution. All right, hope this video was valuable for you. For more videos on design and the business of design, make sure you're subscribed or share or like or all these other things that you do on YouTube. I'll see you on the next video.